What a weekend filled with news. Let's start at the top. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, one of the most conservative members of the Supreme Court, one of the most hated members of the Supreme Court by progressives and liberals alike, passed away in his sleep at the age of 79 over the weekend. And the context of this is, of course, the 2016 election. And we're going to get in the next segment to some of the circumstances of Justice Scalia's death, which are increasingly being questioned by some on the right. But let's talk first about the political implications here. Huge importance of the 2016 election, in part, is not just what the next president will do in terms of proposing legislation, in terms of his executive action, et cetera, but four justices expected to be in their 80s during the next presidential term: Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Anthony Kennedy, Stephen Breyer, and the now deceased Antonin Scalia. The Democratic winner, a Democratic winner in November, could set up the Supreme Court to be the most liberal Supreme Court in a very, very long time. A Republican winner in November could have really disastrous effects and could set up the Supreme Court to be disastrously more conservative than it has been in a long time. Now, in the context of this, when we think about the passing of Antonin Scalia, I've really been thinking over the weekend, Lewis, of how to sort of couch this. I never pray, or I never pray, but if I were to pray, or when I think about what I would like to happen, I never wish for somebody to die. But I think we can objectively say the country is far better off with Antonin Scalia, not one of the 9 Supreme Court justices. There is no doubt about that.
Now, I would say there probably are people you wish would die. One of them being Kim Jong-un, for example. So I would just say that Antonin Scalia was not maybe one of the ones that you wish would die. And I guess I don't think that either. I don't walk around all day saying, I wish Thomas and Scalia, I wish they would just die. But
you do
yes,
wish they weren't on the court. You know,
we'd
be better off if they weren't on the court.
If this is what it takes for someone like Scalia to not be on the court, great.
You're not going to cry over it, I think, is the point you're making. The Republican Party, though, now that President Obama will have the opportunity to nominate a replacement to Antonin Scalia, has already shown their cards. They've already shown their hand. And it's very clear they're going to do everything they can up and to the point at which it is politically just not viable anymore to block that replacement. Let's take a look at what Mitch McConnell said, Republican Senator from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, who went on Facebook and said, "Today, our country lost an unwavering champion of a timeless document that unites each of us as Americans, blah, 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 blah." And then at the end, just as an aside, the American people should have a voice in the selection of their next Supreme Court justice. Therefore, this vacancy should not be filled until we have a new president. Hold on a second, Lewis. The American people did get a chance to have a say in who will be this next Supreme Court justice. It's called voting for Obama in 2012, which specifically gives him the authority to nominate Supreme Court candidates for seats that become open during his presidency. It's not, okay, yeah, President Obama during 2013 and 2014 and 2015 being elected in 2012 gives him the right and authority to correctly decide who is nominated to the Supreme Court. But 2016 is his last year in office. So I don't know. We should just wait for the people to have a say again in who the next president is. Delay this thing totally unnecessarily, merely for political gain. Mitch McConnell, and he's one example, there's many on the right who are saying the same thing, is forgetting that we already decided who in 2016 gets to nominate Supreme Court justices. His name is President Obama. He won in 2012.
Constitutional fact. That is true.
Undeniable.
Yes, undeniable constitutional fact. If there was a Republican president right now and Republicans controlled all of Congress,
right,
there would have been a nomination yesterday.
Well, yeah, or today, right? I mean, first business day. Certainly, it would have happened very quickly, I think, is the point. Now, by many legal experts' opinion, the top choice right now would be Sri Srinivasan, who is a former senior Justice Department official for whom President Obama fought to confirm a seat on the U.S. Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia. He's 48 years old. Born in India, his family came to the U.S., to Kansas specifically, in the 1960s, which is where he grew up. He has degrees from Stanford in law school, business school, undergraduate, etc. Blocking him indefinitely, or whoever is the eventual nominee, really could have huge political consequences. And you know, Lewis, in thinking about this, there is a huge risk to the Republicans saying we're gonna stand in the way until we have until we have an election here, particularly if the nominee is either a woman or a minority in some way. It could really backfire on Republicans and revitalize the Obama electorate that was record turnout for President Obama. And it could actually totally backfire and really end up helping the eventual Democratic nominee, Lewis, if the Republicans were to do this. I really don't believe they're going to be able to block this nominee indefinitely. I don't think that that's going to happen.
Well, I hope not, but I think that they're really just kind of gambling here, right?
Huge gamble.
It's a gamble in that it could in some way affect the election. But what they're hoping is that there will just be a Republican president next, and then everything will be fine. But it might not be.
It might not be. And I guess their hope is right now we know we don't have a Republican president. Maybe we will come next January.